Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
See your faces after we had a little break yesterday, a little third day off of work. So I'm glad that you all are here. I do want to let you know, it says up there that this is presented by Malin and Amanda. I found out this morning Malin would not be able to make it. So full disclosure, I was prepared to share my few slides. So just bear with me as I get through this. I do know the information, I just wasn't quite prepared to do it all. So thank you for being here again. Okay, so the Employee Assistance Program is the topic for today. So what we are going to go over today with the EAP is the purpose, the history, some myths behind it, and then we are going to talk about the top two programs and then some additional resources the county offers. Okay, so what is an EAP? The EAP is a free, voluntary, confidential program for our employees that gives them tools to help them with their everyday lives. So as you all know, it's easy to bring in take work problems from work and take them home and vice versa. So this tool is a good tool for employees to use. If they're having small problems, big problems, it's for all problems. So the EAP, their origin behind it is in the 1930s, EAPs were formed from the occupational alcoholism program. And if you think about it, back in the 1930s, prohibition ended in 1933. The 1930s were a very difficult time. Back then, it was the Depression. So when I found this fact, it completely made sense to me. I thought, oh, yeah, there was probably a lot of alcoholism going on and a lot of workplace accidents. So then the EAP programs became more robust in the 1980s, and then they just continued to grow. So we are going to watch a short 2-minute video about guidance resources, and then we will talk a little bit more about their services.
Life can be stressful, whether it's personal, family, or work challenges. This is why your employer provides the Guidance Resources Program from ComPsych for you and your household members. The program is a confidential, free benefit that offers short-term counseling as well as information and resources on emotional, financial, legal, family, and work-life issues. Guidance Resources helps you address personal challenges, support positive change, and improve your well-being. We help you address the complexities of life and everyday issues such as relationship problems, stress, grief and loss, energizing a career, and dealing with trauma. The program can help with family and home life challenges or issues with work-life balance. If legal or financial difficulties are causing you stress, the program can provide information and resources on everything from budgeting, credit card debt and taxes, to family law and legal questions about real estate. Do you have work-related stressors? We can offer ideas for conflict resolution, managing time, and setting goals. Sometimes it's hard to define what a problem may be, but if you are feeling angry, lonely, depressed, or stuck, you can call Guidance Resources for help. You can access Guidance Resources by calling your organization's toll-free number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This information is available through your HR department as well as posters and brochures. Visiting guidanceresources.com, downloading the Guidance Resources Now app. All phone calls are answered by a guidance consultant who will listen carefully and locate the best resource for you, from a counselor in your community to a legal or financial expert to caregiving information. Remember, this benefit is free to you and your immediate family members. Call your organization's toll-free number whenever you need assistance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No issue is too big or too small. We're here to help. And your information is always confidential. For more information, call your organization's Guidance Resources number or your HR department.
Okay, so that gave you a good just overview of what Guidance Resources offers. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the services. Guidance Resources is a service from ComPsych Corporation, and ComPsych Corporation is the largest EAP provider in the United States, and they are also in 100 other countries. So they do have a lot of resources. Like the video said, employees and their immediate family members can utilize the EAP. So your family members don't have to be on your insurance plan. So you can have a son that is off to college who may need a little bit of help who can utilize the service. So it is available to employees and their immediate family. So I do want to touch a little bit. I won't go over each point up there, but I do want to talk a little bit more, go into a little bit more depth about some of them. So with addiction, we're not just talking about drug and alcohol. We're also talking about gambling, tobacco, internet usage. When you go online, you can see it drops down in the categories. There's a lot of categories, and then there's subcategories from there. And this also with addiction deals with you dealing with somebody who has an addiction as well. So the attorney, I thought this one was really great. There's an attorney on call. And so you can actually call for questions about divorce, custody, real estate. So for our employees to have an attorney on call is pretty amazing. And that's a great benefit. The confidential, I'm sorry, I want to go to childcare. We actually had an individual in our office who tested out the childcare search a couple of years ago. And the employee called in and answered some questions. It was in a very timely manner. They got back a very detailed report about childcare options here in town, and it matched what they were looking for as far as the pricing. It gave a lot of detailed information. This would be a really great option for somebody who has no idea where to start with looking for childcare. Even if they don't go with something on there, maybe it can spark a conversation with somebody to say, hey, I got this list. Have you heard of any of these daycare facilities? The confidential counseling, it is 3 visits per employee. This plan is more for a short-term counseling. However, if they were to call in and it seems to be that it's going to be more than a short-term issue, they will go ahead and connect them to a local therapist, and it will go through the insurance. Now, as you guys know, our insurance plan will cover a specialist. The copay plan will cover a specialist at $50. The other plan, the high deductible plan, you do pay full cost for a visit up until you meet your deductible. So that can look like for an employee or for you, maybe $90 for the visit or $125, depending on what your therapist charges. So the estate guidance and will prep, I do know some people that have used the will prep, said it's very easy. You get some paperwork, you fill it out. Just a fun fact, I'm the godmother to Malin's dogs, so I will take good care of her pups if something were to ever happen to her. The financial planning, that does include taxes, which we are getting upon tax season. Maybe there's some younger employees that don't have any experience with taxes, and this could be a good start for them to call in and just get some guidance on where to begin with filing their taxes. Manager guidance, I thought this one was really great, and I didn't know it existed, but there is a whole toolkit and package for managers. Some of the information in there is about how to give performance reviews, how to public speak. There's all kinds of information in there for managers, and that is a really great toolkit. There is on-demand training. Wellness does include grief and loss. It also includes nutrition. So there's much more out there on the website. Okay, so myths about the EAP. My employer will know I utilize the EAP. I think this is probably the top concern for employees, thinking that maybe their manager will know. HR won't know, their manager will not know. We don't even get it broken down by department. Because as I'm looking around the room, we may have the treasurer's office who has 3 people in it, or we have offices that have 10 people. So they don't even tell us the utilization by department. We just get an overall, is it being utilized or not? So it is confidential. The therapist that you speak to by law, the only way that they will share the information with somebody else is if there's self-harm involved. So if an employee calls in and makes a statement about self-harm, they will have to break that confidence and get somebody else involved. And that's not the employer, that's somebody who can actually help them. So the EAP only offers counseling services. That is what comes to top of mind when I think of EAP counseling. But as I've mentioned, there's so many other resources on the website. EAP counselors are not licensed, they are all licensed. So when you call in, you will get connected. You will actually speak to a clinician when you first call in, and then they will connect you with a therapist, a local therapist who either has a master's or a doctorate. Um, so you will always be talking to somebody who is educated enough to help you. EAP services are only for employees, like we discussed. It's not just for employees, it's for employees' families as well. Okay, so guidance resources. Here's the contact information. They do have their online website. They also have an app called Guidance Now. There is a code to put in, and it's NPR3. And I do want to explain that a little bit because the 3 actually does stand for 3 visits, and it's 3 visits per life event. So that is not just you calling in one time a year, our plan year, and saying, I have this issue, and then you're 3 year up. What that means is you could have one month where maybe you want to call in because you're having trouble with a coworker and you need some help on how to better handle that situation. And then maybe 2 months later, you run into some issues financially. You can call in about that issue. So it's 3 visits per life event. And I do have some good news. NPR, we are part of a risk pool, and that risk pool actually has members and entities in it. We are in that pool with other counties and municipalities. Some of those entities have 6 visits, and they've noticed the utilization is much more when employees have 6 visits. I think a lot of employees can think they're not going to solve my problem in 3 visits. I'm not even going to mess with it. So beginning July 1st of 2024, NPR is raising the visits to 6 visits per event. So I think that is great. So even if you have an employee or you were to utilize it at some point this year, our plan year begins over on July 1. So you could, take advantage of more visits. Okay. So the other resource that I want to talk about is Teladoc, and we're probably familiar with Teladoc for its health services. So if you have a cold, sinus infection, you can call into Teladoc Health. Well, Teladoc also has mental health services. This is newer to us, and I'm very excited about it. Of course, the HR department doesn't get a lot of feedback. We don't have employees calling to say, I tried out this service and it was super great. So I am anxious to, 1, promote it, and then 2, to hopefully eventually maybe receive some feedback, or we'll just see the numbers of how well it's utilized. But it is virtual counseling, and it's from a psychologist or a therapist. It is 24/7. And what I've found with this is you can get an appointment way quicker than some of the other services. So I put up there first appointment as quickly as 10 days. It could be sooner. So this is a really great option if somebody is feeling the need to get in immediately. I don't have a time frame for the guidance resources of how quickly they can get you in with a local therapist, but I do know this one, I think, moves a little bit faster. So the online therapist can help with what we all think of, depression, negative thoughts. The one that stood out to me was trauma and PTSD. I think that's so much more common these days. Teladoc does offer different forms of therapy, so it's not just cognitive behavior therapy. Medication management, they do have psychiatry only. So if you're taking medications, you can connect with a psychiatrist and they can help you with your medications. The biggest thing with this one is it's free. It doesn't matter what insurance you're on with the county, you're free. And there is no limit on visits. The visits will take as long as needed. So how to access care, you can get the mobile app, and it is very easy. You set up an account, you fill out a medical questionnaire, you choose a therapist, you pick the days and times. I do know that they offer a text option. I was not able to get the pricing on it because it varies. Um, if you text your therapist a lot, they couldn't even give me a range or an idea. So I would like to find out more, but it is an option. I know our younger generation probably like to text a little bit more. So if that works for them, that's a good option. So additional resources, of course, we have our local rural behavioral health. I do know that it is difficult to get into them. So you can call, you can speak to somebody, and then they might tell you, unfortunately, we can't get you in for 6 months. So that can be really difficult, but they are still a great resource. And I would encourage anybody to utilize them. Eustasis is on South National. Eustachius is a walk-in clinic. I did call them to check the pricing on it. They do accept insurance. However, most of you know, so many of our employees are on the high deductible plan, and you do have to pay full price till you hit your deductible. Now, Eustasis, even though it's a walk-in immediate, it is going to cost around $300 or so. So it is very high price, but could be used in a case of emergency if somebody needs immediate help. And then you also have to remember the commission is so gracious and they give us money each month to put in our health savings account, and that money can be used towards that. So findhelp.org is actually a really interesting website. You can go in and you can put in your zip code, and it's going to pull up all kinds of resources, not just mental health, um, food assistance. There is so much information. I found out about this website, and the first time I went out to it, it just blew my mind away. I thought I had no idea that we had this resource available, and I wish more people in the community knew about it. So I would encourage you all to check out findhelp.org. Mutual of Omaha is our life insurance carrier. They also offer 3 EAP visits. So it is a secondary. Most of the time when employees call, we offer up the guidance resources, but we also have Mutual of Omaha that adds that service as well. And then, of course, there's the 988 suicide and crisis hotline, and that would be best in an emergency type situation. All right. Are there any questions?
Is the mutual Omaha free visit in addition to the 3/6?
You could, yes. So you could utilize both. So, and what I would imagine with the guidance resources is that if you call and it's going to take more than 3 visits, after that third visit, they're going to keep you with the same therapist and add on. But yeah, a person could pick up the phone and call the Mutual of Omaha EAP, for whatever reason. That one, it does cover all employees, not just employees who are on our insurance. All employees here have the benefit of basic life insurance, and because they have that service is provided to all employees here at Greene County, all full-time employees. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Apologize for the rough start, but I thank you all.